This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, Jan, it's all yours.
Well, thank you, Barbara. Thanks for inviting us to speak to the people here from Oceanside Library. We're very happy to be here and to be able to answer any questions that you have about the college planning process during this unusual time. We do have, a little bit of an outline to follow, but we're really open to, answering your questions, hearing what your concerns are. Tony is here. Tony is my partner and my husband. We've been in business together for 20 years and we've been together longer than that.
How long has it been? No, don't go there.
Don't go there. It's a long time. We've been around a while. But anyway, so Tony, you're going to monitor the questions, right?
Yep.
So if anyone has questions, they're welcome to type them into the chat box. I believe there's a bubble that you can type into and put your questions in there, and then Tony will monitor that. So what we're going to do is focus on some things that we thought would be of interest to you. Hopefully you can all see our screen. So, the first thing, assuming that you still are, trying to choose colleges, I don't know how many of you have high school seniors or are high school seniors, or younger, it's still a question of like, how do you visit a college? How do you know what college to pick? This is not an easy thing in this time when we can't go out and visit colleges. So one of the, what we wanted to talk about is how can you learn more about a college? And so colleges are very aware of this. They've been putting together some amazing presentations online, doing college tours, virtual tours online. So we would really encourage you to, pick a college, go online, look for the college online, and log into their admissions section of their website and take a virtual tour. There are also a number of events that colleges are hosting, and when you go to their websites, you can sign up for an open house, you can do a student panel, or you can get to speak to students and ask questions. And it's, they're really very nice because you can do it in the, the comfort of your own home, and you can learn a lot about these different colleges. We wanted to show you, a lot of you, I think, probably have Naviance in your high school. So wanted to share the screen and show you, let's say you were in your Naviance account and you went to the college tab and colleges I'm thinking about. Oh, I timed out. Let's see if I can extend my session, or I'm going to have to log back in. Okay, that's sorry about that. Let's look at something else while I try to get back into Naviance.
Hey, Jan, I just want to let you know we have Adam and Carla both have high school juniors, just to give you an idea. Because we were thinking that maybe there might be a couple of families on that had high school seniors, and the rush to get to November 1 or November 15 as far as early decision, early action deadlines. So it looks as if we have all juniors here, so you can relax, we can sit back a little bit, and there's no really rush on the admission side. Great. So we can take some time. In fact, I just got off the phone with one of the families that we're working with, and they just came back from Boston and took a tour of Boston University. And I said, I mean, they let you on campus? And they said, yes. You know, we couldn't go into any of the buildings, but they provided them with like a walking tour kind of thing. And they bumped into some students, and one of the students just gave them a private tour. So I'm not recommending that, but I think everybody on college campuses realize how difficult this is from a live person to person, and they're willing to do whatever they can do. Yeah, and Carlos, they just came back from RPI. They had the same experience, and
Yeah.
that's interesting, Carla. It's like you're like a kindred spirit to Jan and I, because our son graduated from RPI.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
congratulations.
Polytech.
Yeah, yeah. So so I think colleges are opening up a little bit more. Even local schools. I'm not sure about Hofstra or Delphi or CW Post, but there's enough space there, enough land, so you can just like park in the parking lot. And you'd have to check first, but maybe you can actually take a live tour of those kinds of schools.
Yeah, see, colleges seem to be opening up a little bit more in that, letting in a small number of registered students for a tour. So that is something that is opening up. But I was able to.
Oh, great. So Jan, you just want to kind of like back up, since we have high school juniors. I don't know if the parents and students have had their guidance counselor meetings for juniors yet. So just kind of back up and explain what Naviance is as a guidance portal, and how it's used.
Sure. So Naviance is a program that high schools use to keep track of their students, and for students to keep track of their interests and different things. It's ultimately used as a portal to the colleges. When you apply to a college, the high school will send your transcript and letters of recommendation through Naviance. So every student gets a Naviance account, and we set up an account for Tony. And this is Tony's account, just to do a demo for you. But one of the things you can do from the beginning, with a high school junior, once you get your Naviance account, is you can go to this colleges tab, and colleges you're thinking about, you can save colleges into your account for ones that you're interested in. So let's say you were interested in Binghamton University, okay, and they would all be saved under colleges I'm thinking about. What the really nice thing about Naviance, this is sort of a new thing for Naviance, is you can click it on, and now there's a whole lot of information here about Binghamton, about whatever college you're clicking on. So you can take a virtual tour, you can communicate with the college. They actually have a link to the application. See, here's a campus tour. There's a lot of videos here. Students love to have videos. Here's some information, some statistics.
Hey Jan, let's talk about that acceptance rate.
Yeah. So
put that in some kind of context for us.
Yeah. So the percent of students that are accepted to a college, if you think about it in context, like a community college has 100% acceptance rate, right? I think as long as you graduate from high school, you can be accepted to a community college. So that's 100%. If you're thinking about Ivy League universities, they are more like less than 10% admit rate.
Jan, did you put Cornell into my Naviance account?
I think I might have. Let's see. You want to look at Cornell?
Yeah. So remember, Binghamton was a 40% admit rate. Look at Cornell to give you an idea of what an Ivy League school is. 12% admit
12%.
rate. So what that means is that 88% of their students are rejected.
Right.
So at
these
Binghamton,
are good numbers to look at.
Yeah, 60% is. So this is a great way for you all, because my feeling is these junior, guidance counselor meetings, counselors that we know are so stressed out right now. So the more virtual work you can do, the more, self-guidance, I think you're going to be ahead, because if this pandemic continues on until next year, you have to do the work by yourself. And this is a great primer to how a program like Naviance works. And for those high schools that use Naviance, again, this is a purchased software that your district has to purchase. You might just shoot your guidance counselor an email to see if they have Naviance and if they would open up your account early.
Yeah.
This way you can kind of do what Jan's doing right now. Sorry to interrupt you, but so you can go back.
No, that's a really good point, because sometimes, in the past pre-COVID, the junior meeting was in the spring of the junior year, and that's when you got your Naviance account. So I don't know if any of you have it yet, but you certainly can ask for it because you should have access to it.
Hey, Jan, Carla has a great question. She's asking, how does the parent portal for Naviance differ from the students portal?
The difference is that you can save colleges into your student's account, and it will appear as suggested by the parent, but a parent cannot do a search per se. You can't do a college search. It has to be done by the student through the student's account. You can't do anything as if you were the student. You can just kind of come in as a parent.
Oh, you can just view what's been done, in other words.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can still, but you can still, like, I really like this, college overlaps, see other colleges, right?
Mm-hmm.
See other colleges that people applied to. So here's the overlaps. For Cornell, we have people applying to Binghamton, University of Michigan, UPenn, Northeastern, Lehigh, Johns Hopkins, Stony Brook. So you get an idea of the kind of colleges that might be similar, or if your student likes this college, they might like one of these. If your student liked Cornell, they might apply to some of these schools. So it kind of gives you some more schools to look at.
That's
right?
great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
so in case parents are thinking about how why is Naviance being used by high schools, can you just go over the user, the interface, how high schools are using Naviance?
well, I would say probably the most important thing is colleges I'm applying to. Now, right now, Tony doesn't have any colleges he's applying to.
Oh, by the way, hey guys out there, if you notice, you see where it says College Channel? That's our company, our website. So we are actually like a high school. We have a Naviance account that we license from Hobson's. That's who created Naviance. And all of the students that we work with are in our Naviance program. So that's how come we're so familiar with this.
Yeah. But really, probably the most important thing in the end is that your high school counselor has access to know which colleges you're applying to, because they have to provide transcripts and letters of recommendation. And if they don't know where to send them, then they're not going to get sent. So that's why colleges I'm applying to is an important thing. But there are
great questions, Jan. Adam just came up with a question. Is there a scholarship search on Naviance? The answer is yes. Okay, but we're going to show you a couple of other scholarship search sites.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Naviance does, it lets us as counselors and your high school guidance counselors input their own scholarship information. So if there was a local scholarship, say the Oceanside, recreational centers scholarship, they could put that into their scholarship search that only the in-house Naviance users at Oceanside in your school district would have access to.
Right.
Yeah.
But another great resource is the College Board. And the
Yeah.
College Board is, let's see.
I think we have that. I think you have that queued up. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so
So what's the website on the College Board, Jen?
it's collegeboard.org.
Mhm.
Okay, and this is where you sign up for SAT exams, which maybe some of you have done already. SAT and AP, AP scores are recorded on here. But if you notice, there's scholarships. There's a student search. There's scholarship, you can search for scholarships on the College Board. So
Yeah,
that's,
they have a pretty robust college search engine.
yeah, it's a really good, they have all kinds of things going on,
Jen, would you say that the scholarship search process is a lot like the college search process?
Oh, yeah. Actually, yes. There's a huge database of scholarships out there, but you have to see where you're a good fit. Just like you want to find out if you're a good fit with a college, you also have to see, are you a good fit for this scholarship? Because if it doesn't pertain to you, then don't waste your time on it, right?
Yeah, Felicia is asking a great question. She's saying, do guidance counselors guide students to colleges they recommend based upon grades and interest? Like talk about yes, they do, but talk about the 4 areas, the 4 points that we touch on when putting together a college list.
Yeah, I feel like there's a real art to creating a college list. And what we're looking at are 4 aspects. We're looking at, is it a good academic fit? Is it a good social fit? Is it a good cultural fit? And is it a good financial fit? If a college hits all 4 points, that's great. Of course, it doesn't always work that way, but when you're talking about, okay, so first, an academic fit, you can look and see, like on Naviance, you can see what is the average SAT or ACT score or GPA of that school.
Hey, Jan, I
And
think this is a good time to bring in College Navigator, which is
yeah,
another great set. We're gonna be throwing all the resources at you guys that we commonly use. Now, this is populated by federal statistics. This comes right from the federal database IPEDS, and it's called College Navigator. And Jan, can you give the website for this one?
yeah.
I think you should just Google College Navigator. That's how we found it, right?
Yeah, College Navigator.
Right.
It's like
And this is free.
NC.
This is a federal government Department of Education site. You can see it's the National Center for Education Statistics. If you're like statistic nerds like we are, you guys are going to love this site.
Yeah, this is an amazing site. It's pretty technical. I can imagine, students may not love digging into it, but if you're the kind of person that likes statistics, like Tony said, let me just give you an idea of how it works, because this is pretty interesting. So let's say we wanted to search for a school. Let's say New York.
We have a student that is interested in computer science.
Okay, so we'll pick New York. We won't put a zip code in, but we can browse for programs. I was looking at pre-dentistry, but let's not do that. Let's do computer information sciences. Let's add all 30 programs, okay? And let's say we want a bachelor's degree at a 4-year school, public or private, nonprofit. We're not really interested in the for-profit colleges. Let's look at the results. Okay.
There's your college search, guys. That's
This is
great.
a great college search, but you can really dig further than this. So let's just pick one. Let's just pick Binghamton.
Yeah, can we dig into SAT standardized test scores and grade point average, that kind of thing?
Yeah, you're going to love this. So here's the basic information, the website. You can get a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate degree. Here's some things we like to look at. Looking at admissions, you can get some admissions statistics.
What can you share with, what's relevant here?
Okay, so number of applicants, 37,000 applications. That's how popular Binghamton is. Percent admitted, 41%. I think we saw that on Naviance. Males are admitted at 40%, females at 41%. They actually break that down. But here they're going to give you the SATs, right? And the ACTs. So the SAT ranges from, in the reading, evidence-based reading and writing, ranges from a 630 to a 700 as the, sort of the 50th percentile spread. And then math is 650 to 740. ACTs range from 29 to 32. So these are important statistics to find out if it's a good academic fit for your student. We also like to look at retention and graduation rates. That's important when you're looking at a college. So retention and graduation rates, 90% of students return for the second year.
That's awesome.
That means that students are happy there and they're happy to return.
Right? This is pre-COVID though, right?
Right. This is 2019, I believe.
I can't wait till the next tranche of material information comes out because it's going to be different. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of, there's graduation rates. 4-year graduation rate is at 73%. There's a whole lot of statistics here. But one of the things I really like to look at, and I use when I'm doing a college search, I really use this. So this is the programs or the majors that they have. And you can look at all the different majors. And for instance, we were looking at computer science, right? So what you want to look at, here's the column for bachelor's degrees. These are master's degrees. So look at this, computer science had 80 graduates with a degree in computer science in 2019. That's not a
huge class.
That's a big program. Notice information science, they didn't have anybody graduate. So even though they might offer information science, it's not a big program there.
So one of the things that you want to do is what?
You want to look at how many graduates they had in the program that you're looking at to see how robust that program is at that college, right?
Right. So if you had a student that wasn't completely at that academic profile and were interested in Binghamton because it's a great school and a great value, and by the way, it's less than $30,000, about $28,000 a year all in total cost. You might, and your son or daughter was interested in computer science, you might look at not the first category, but the second category as far as an area of interest.
Yeah, it's really really pretty telling, I think.
Yep.
It's a great way to.
Anything else in College Navigator before we move on?
Well, you can look at outcomes.
Yeah, take a look at outcomes.
Okay, so first time degree, received a bachelor's degree. I was trying to see if they had, no, this isn't showing like
careers,
employment.
jobs.
Yeah, employment now. Sometimes they do, but this isn't. But anyway, this is a great place to, you can also do a college search. I mean, this is a college search, but you can browse for different programs,
So by the way, Carla is saying, I love this. I'm going to be up all night. Carla, you're with us. We just,
I
we
live
could be
on this site.
exactly. So you're
You know, to be honest with you, all the Naviance and College Board and all the websites that, you know, try to buy your name and sell you whatever, all this information, all of it comes right here from this site. This is the federal statistics. So
yeah.
if you're willing to dig into this, you can bypass all the pictures and all the other stuff and go straight for the facts, and that's what you're going to get at College Navigator.
And for the audience, this will stop the noise. This will stop like your neighbor from telling you, you know, what their experience is or what you've heard on the internet or what you heard, you know, in a car, wherever it is about a college. It's like, and you're going to be hearing so much. Just kind of say yes and then go to College Navigator and back check the statistics. And you're going to find that the general population out there doesn't really have the story straight. All right. So just kind of like help you reduce the stress because
Yeah.
our phone rings all day long with, you know, just people calling us up and saying, hey, Jan and Tony, I heard about you. I heard this. And then we sit back and we listen and we look at each other and we go, okay, okay. We have to dispel this myth. All right, so let's just we don't have a lot of time, Jan. So let's move on to the next kind of bullet point.
Okay.
So remember, you have College Navigator, you have College Board, and you have your own in-house Naviance counseling program if your high school has purchased it and has opened it up to you guys.
So
Talk
here's another
about how to demonstrate interest.
how to demonstrate interest, because it used to be, well, if this is your first child and you have a high school junior, you may not be that familiar with the talk was always you have to demonstrate interest in a college and let them know that you're interested. Otherwise, when they receive your application and they've never heard from you, they've never had contact with you, how do they know that you're actually interested in their college? So demonstrating interest in a college is very important. And in the past, you would do that by visiting a college, signing up for a tour, speaking with the college representative when they come to your high school, just meeting them at college fairs. But all of that is off the board now, right? We can't do that. So what can you do to demonstrate interest? Well, again, what we were talking about is registering for virtual events on college websites. And I did want to show you, even on Naviance, like colleges I'm thinking about, like let's take Clemson. Look at this. Great news. Clemson University would like to connect with you. Connect?
It's that easy.
There it is, right? They want your email. They want to know you're interested. There's a button here to communicate. You can request information, get in touch with your college contact, send a message to the admissions office. Every college has an admissions counselor for your high school or for your area. So you can request the name of that person or get in touch with your college contact and reach out to that person and say, you know, ask them a question through email, right? And ask them a question that they can answer, not just, oh, I heard about your school. I love it. I'm really interested in applying. What are they going to say to that?
So Jan, along that line, just discuss the difference or open up the conversation of the difference between demonstrating interest and demonstrating understanding of a college.
Great point. Great point. Demonstrating interest, as I said, is just having contact and they know who you are. But now you can take it a step further, right? How do they know that you're the right fit for this college? So if you start having a conversation with the college or just doing your own research and finding out why this is a good fit for you, whether you fit academically, but also do they have the kind of major that you're interested in? Anything that they have and any knowledge that you can gain about this college, you actually give it back to them when you apply to college. Because right now I'm working with a lot of students on their college applications. And one of the biggest questions I get, and I was just working on this half hour before this call, NYU, student applies to NYU. What's the essay prompt? The essay prompt is, why NYU? Why are we a good fit for you? You have to be able to state that, you know, and they don't want to hear that, oh, we're in the greatest city in the world and there's access to everything in New York City and I really want to be in New York City. Well, then why aren't you going to Pace University? That's in New York City, you know. What is it about NYU? So you need to be educated. You need to know about the program that you're interested in. Or even if you're undecided, what are your options if you're undecided and you don't know your major? What are the things you might like to get involved in? What kind of clubs do they have? What kind of research are they doing? Are faculty doing anything that's of interest to you? You need to dig into the websites and learn, and as Tony said, demonstrate understanding of the college, not just that you're interested. That was a great point, Tony.
Well, thank you very much. I try once in a while. Yeah,
So,
you've got some great bullet points. So let's push through.
okay. Okay, so let's talk about testing. So this year, of course, you've heard that many colleges are now test optional.
So what does that mean, test optional?
Okay, which means the colleges now, they understand that so many SATs and ACT exams have been canceled. Students have not had the opportunity to test, or if they did it once, and maybe they didn't prepare for it and they anticipated taking it once and then preparing and doing it again and doing better. So because of that, they've said, okay, we're test optional, meaning if you would like to show us your test scores and you think that they're a good representation of the kind of student that you are, please submit your test scores. If they're not a good representation of who you are, you can choose not to send those scores. So then what does that mean? That means they're going to be looking more closely at your transcript, at the kind of courses you're taking, at the grades that you've gotten. Some schools we've seen are asking for a graded paper, you know, a written essay or a research paper you've done that's been graded so they can see the kind of work that you do. I haven't seen too many colleges require an interview. That would be more with a really small college that would have the ability to spend time and do that. So when colleges made these decisions for this fall, for the high school seniors applying now, they made these decisions, and many of them are saying, we're going to try this for the next 2 or 3 years. So if you have a high school junior, there's a good chance that this test optional policy will still be in place next year.
So let me give you a question here, or an insight. So if colleges are successful at enrolling the class that they were anticipating and want, and did not use standardized test scores, what does that mean for the future?
I think it means they're going to go test optional.
I'm going to have to agree with you. So this is, hey guys out there, this is a real opening now. And colleges have really bright graduate students, statistics majors, and they'll run the algorithms. And if they can enroll the class and have you know, reasonable outcomes as far as the number of admitted students to retention and graduation rates without standardized test scores, our feeling that the importance of these scores are going to be pushed down the ladder a little bit. I don't think they'll, Dan, do you think they'll ever go away?
I don't think tests, SATs and ACTs are going to go away for a long time, but I think they are going to be less important. And I think a really good thing that can come out of this is that students won't have to stress so much about taking their tests. You know, I mean, we do feel that students should still take SATs and ACTs, but we really think there's going to be so much more opportunity for test optional choices that it's not going to be the end all to everything. It's not going to be the answer to everything.
So Jan, in lieu of COVID and what's happening with, enrollment almost down 7-8% at some colleges, does this open up the possibility for my son or daughter to maybe get into a school that they could not get into prior to the pandemic because colleges are looking for more students?
Absolutely. We've seen this in this past year. We've had students get into colleges that we really didn't think they would get into.
Can you name a college for us?
Yes, I'll name a college for you. How about Georgetown University?
Wow.
Georgetown University, we had 2 students this year got off the wait list probably in June after they made a decision in May where they were attending. They were contacted by Georgetown University where they were on the wait list, and they were both invited to come to that school. And we
And
have
Georgetown meet full financial need. They gave them a great package too, right?
yes. And in our 20 years, we have never had a student come off a wait list to Georgetown. That's a really highly selective school. And what we're seeing.
So that maybe is how, our listening audience might want to change their college list, because like just briefly describe the kinds of, safety, those kinds of categories that you use in designing a list for a student.
Mm-hmm. So in addition to looking at the academic, social, cultural, financial fit, if we're looking at more on the academic side, we like to rate them as safety schools, likely, possible, and reach. And normally,
so what is this possible? What does that mean?
Okay, well, yeah, so you probably all know, a safety school, you're probably going to get in. A likely school is where you really fit in academically. You're just like every other average student on campus. A possible school is you still kind of fit into the range of the kind of student that would get admitted, but there might be something that's happened in the past few years that either made that college very popular, and they haven't been able to accept all the people who apply, even though they might be well qualified. So if they really can't, in the past, we would say a possible school, don't count on it, but you can still apply. Now possible schools are becoming much more likely, and reach schools where we would normally say, just apply to, maybe pick 2 schools that you want to pick as a reach school. This year we would say, go for more. Go for maybe 4 reach schools, because you probably have a bigger chance of getting in, just because enrollment is down due to COVID. It really is. Would you agree, Tony?
I agree, and I think the opportunity here is going to be brief, because once this passes, there will be some residual as far as college admissions. But once this passes, I think it's going to go right back up to as competitive as it was in the 2019-20, the 2020-21 year. This might last for the 2021-22, 22-23 year, but by 24-25, I think we're right back up to the crazy numbers. Binghamton getting 35,000 applications, for 60 spots in the computer science program. Yeah, I think that's going to be an issue. Is there anything that you noticed on the Common Application that has changed from last year to this year, or is it pretty much the same?
Well, the one big difference is that now, this year, there's actually an essay prompt. It's optional, but there's an essay prompt that asks, have you experienced any kind of circumstances that you would like to tell us about during COVID? So, you know, they're looking to see if you've had difficulty maybe with online learning. Has someone in your family gotten sick? Have you been affected in some way? You know, family income is down. I mean, they want to know if students have experienced hardships during this time. So that's really new. They've never had that.
And Carla's asking a great question about gap year, because we've had a number of athletes that we've worked with and non-athletes that are seriously considered taking a gap year. How is that going to impact? Because remember, when you take a gap year, that means that you're not explain how that works as far as, you know, taking gap year and then the following year.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're going to take a gap year, the best way to do it is to apply to your colleges, get accepted, and then request to take a sort of like a leave of absence or a gap year with the intention of coming back the next year to that school.
Will
And
they save that spot for you?
if you work it out with the college, if they agree to it, they'll hold to it. But, you know, we don't want anyone to make the mistake of saying, well, I just won't apply this year. We'll take a gap year and I'll apply next year. Don't do that.
Because that spot might not be open for you.
Yeah, now you're competing with a whole new class who went through a whole different experience. And that's what I was going to bring up when you were talking before, Tony, about the changes and the opportunities that are available maybe at some higher level schools that you might not get into. You know, a lot of people talk about, well, you know, especially during COVID, maybe my child will stay home, go to a community college, do that for a year or two, and then apply to a more competitive college. Yes, you can save money. Yes, you get to stay home if that's important to you, but you're really you might be losing out on the opportunity to get into a very good school that you may not have gotten into before. And then when you enter the competitive pool 2 years later, everything's changed. You can't count on that. And, you know, related to that is there are a number of students who just decided not to attend college this fall, right? They got in and they said, well, I don't really want to go away. I don't really want to do online learning. So they just didn't attend. Now they've got to reapply to college in a whole new world, you know, competing with a whole different group of students. So, you know, we're encouraging people, like, take a chance, even if you end up having to go online, rather than community college going online. What's the difference? You know, I mean, that's how I feel. What's the difference going to a really fine school online or a community college online? You're still home and you're online. So lock yourself into that college that accepted you, because they might not accept you the next year.
So Adam has a great question. It's like, all right, I want to lock myself into a college. Like, what's the timing? When do I apply for college? What's the calendar? How does this work?
Okay. The college application process actually starts August 1st before the senior year. That's when college applications open up and you can start applying. That's pretty early to start applying to a college, but you can start working on your application. You can send it in August, but the first deadline that you'll probably have, the earliest deadline I've seen this year was October 15th. And that was for, I believe it was early action for University of South Carolina and University of Georgia, October 15th. Normally, November 1st is a more common deadline for early action. And maybe we should talk a little bit about early action, early decision, regular decision.
Yeah, but I can't believe you have November 1st deadlines and you're giving out this precious information. You're great.
Yeah, November 1 is like right here on my forehead going, that deadline is flying by.
All right, we really appreciate your time here. When should a student or parent, look at scholarships? Is that before, or like scholarships and financial aid forms before the admissions process or after the admissions process?
I'm going to let you answer that one.
Yeah, this question comes up all the time. Hey guys, you apply, well, Uncle Tony and Aunt Jan always say, do the hard thing first. And the hard thing first is applying to college.
Yeah.
Applying for scholarships is after the fact. So once you send out all your admissions applications, which includes all of what Jan is talking about, letters of recommendation, transcripts, high school profile, essay, personal statements, contacting college, that's the hard part. Once that's done, then the next piece of it is to follow up all those applications with your financial aid forms. I'm getting calls that saying that, somebody told me that I have to file the FAFSA form the first day it's open, October 1st, or the money runs out. Just let me tell you, the FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And as we can see in our political world, the federal government doesn't run out of money. So if the application opens October 1st, you have anywhere from October 1st until early December to get your financial aid forms in. I would say after January 1st, it's a kind of another play at this, but no need to get it in the first day. Work on your college applications. It is far more important to get admitted to a school, because as I tell my clients, you can get your financial aid forms and scholarship forms in early, but if you're not admitted to that school, you're really, wasting precious time. So that's just a lesson from the trenches, so to speak. What should juniors be doing right now?
So what should juniors be doing? Well, I think they should be doing their college research and looking at colleges that interest them. And of course, that's got to be online for the moment. But doing that research, like through Naviance, through College Board, possibly through the College Navigator, if you can handle the statistics. But, I would also recommend a book that we like is the Fiske Guide to Colleges, Fiske. That's a great book. That's a narrative, and it tells about the life on campus and what it's like. And, it's like much more easy reading, but do the college research now and start looking into colleges that interest you. Start looking at different majors and digging into the websites and see what is it to be a computer science major? What does an engineering major have to take? What kind of classes are for that? Business or whatever you're interested in, read about it and see if it seems interesting,
One of the big talk about how a student can do community service or shadowing another professional, or somehow build that resume of activities that's going to be needed to be completed in the Common Application. What are you recommending students do now to keep their feet on the ground and keep those outside activities flowing?
Yeah, it's really hard to do that now. Most of it is being done online. But I think that, I've seen a lot of students doing things during the pandemic that is really nice community service, like helping neighbors, maybe shopping or delivering food for neighbors, making masks, delivering, things, helping in a food bank, somewhere they don't have to really be exposed that much to a lot of people, but reaching out to the community and doing something that's helpful to people, even if it's, helping do yard work to your neighbors, or just doing nice things for people. those are things that you can actually put on your resume. It's not like it has to be a formal thing. It's a little harder.
As a counselor, what are you seeing, like, as far as mental health and being sequestered at home and not, not being able to have a life like we used to have? How is that impacting your students?
It is impacting them. It's hard. And I think that, students have to find a way to take care of themselves, doing some physical activity, which I know is harder to do, not doing a lot of sports and things like that, but doing something for yourself, taking walks, going out running, doing yoga, doing anything you can to keep yourself healthy, getting enough sleep, staying off social media, don't being on that too much. It's really important.
Are you finding some of your students are actually reading more now than they've ever done before?
I think some of them are,
Mhm.
Discovering books, and even audio books are great. Just having the time students are having the time to do hobbies too. Kids are learning how to cook, how to bake, they cook for their family. Those are things you can write about on your college application, how I learned to bake bread, or things that I learned to sew and make masks. Things like that you can do. Hobbies are good,
Great. So we've
So
got some great questions here.
are there any more questions that?
Pretty much more of the same. People are concerned about how the pandemic's going to affect college admissions. How's it going to affect scholarships? How does it affect the net price? So just let me wade into that territory, because what we're finding is this is upset families, it has upset students, and it has upset colleges. And we were always annoyed by colleges raising the tuition every year. It's like, who do they think we are? Charging $75,000 per year for a college. And then we're always thinking that, well, there's always a chance of a scholarship, or I can qualify for financial aid. Now colleges are, a lot of their budgets have been impacted, one by federal funds not flowing to colleges. As you know, they're being held up now. Also state funds being sent to the SUNY and the CUNY system. Colleges are under a pressure to actually hold the line on tuition. And we just heard the other day, 3 colleges in New Jersey. Jan, do you remember? What can you share about that?
Yes, Fairleigh Dickinson University, Drew University, and Rider University have announced that they are lowering their tuition next year, I think by $10,000.
Yeah.
That's a first. We have never seen colleges lowering their tuition. What they'll do is raise their scholarships, give out more money, but they don't lower their tuition. That's a new thing. And
Yeah,
that's
so
a trend.
this might be a trend. We're hoping that it's a trend. And shoot us an email. We'll let you know what we come up with, because we had plans of actually doing the Big Ten tour and seeing the SEC schools. That was canceled because of COVID. And then we had another tour. We were going to see Southern schools. And they were actively, looking to recruit students from our area. I mean, as Jan mentioned, University of South Carolina and Columbia, University of Georgia, University of Alabama, Clemson, Furman. These schools, traditionally Southern schools, have been actively recruiting and going after, Northeastern kids. I think that's going to continue more. As far as them reducing costs, I don't see that as much as private schools, because they're taxpayer funded in their state. So I think one of the opportunity is to look at some mid-sized private universities. And another thing that we've found is the appeal process. Jan, you want to just talk about the appeal process?
Yeah, so once you apply to your college, you get accepted, you file your you apply to your college, you file your financial aid applications, you get accepted, you get a financial aid award. Then there is a process called the appeal process where you can appeal your financial aid award. And that's something that you can do. And this year, or next year, you'll be affected by COVID. You may or may not be affected, but if you are, that's a good reason to appeal to a college. And there is a process for that. So I think we're going to be seeing more and more appeals. More and more colleges are getting ready for that, to have the appeal process.
So I've started, helping my students and parents complete financial aid forms, and on the College Board CSS profile for private schools and a couple of flagship publics, they now have a COVID question. Like on the admission side, they now have a financial question that says, have your parents been affected by the pandemic? So they're already laying the groundwork for the appeal. And just a cautionary, just a letter, some interest here. When you file your financial aid forms, due to federal regulations, you use your prior year's tax return. So let's make this easy. So for a parent that will be applying to college, a high school senior, for the 2001-2002 year, 21-20 year, you would be using your 2019 year tax return. So it might seem odd, but it's the prior year. So you families with juniors that are going to be going to college in 2022, 2023, you're going to be using your 2020 tax return. So in the year of the pandemic, it's going to just behoove everybody that's interested in financial aid getting your tax return done early. Because my feeling is that the COVID pool of money that some of these schools are going to be using, they might have allocated X amount of dollars to that pool, and then once they give it out, there's not going to be a lot of money left over as far as the appeal process. So just a word of warning here, apply early, get your financial aid forms done after your admissions applications go out, and you need your tax return prepared early so that if you want to appeal, you can demonstrate the reason being, from that tax return. So just a little heads up on how that all is going to work. So Jan, do you have any closing thoughts or comments or pearls that you would like to share with our audience?
Let's see. I think the whole thing is really, if you have juniors, I'm assuming you all have juniors, start this process now. I can't tell you how many phone calls we are getting from families with high school seniors saying, well, we really haven't done anything yet. Can you help us? We're not sure what college, we're not sure what major, we haven't visited any schools, so we don't know. We haven't started the application. We haven't, my son hasn't written his essay. We're talking about, what are we in now? End of October of the senior year. Applications should be going out. So the fact that you're all here on this webinar learning about this is great, because you should be starting this process, making your child aware of the timeline. They should probably be writing their essay in the spring of their junior year, putting together a potential college list, reaching out to the colleges, taking tours, doing all of that before the summer. So when August 1st opens up, you can start applying to colleges. And that would be, I would say, starting early is really the key to being organized, to being efficient, to getting things done. I think that would be my my suggestion, my pearl of wisdom.
I mean, thank you, Jen. I mean, I know you are busy. You have like November 1st deadlines, and I can see your hair being blown back by these deadlines. I'm so sorry. But let's extend our time a little bit with our audience. And if there's any more questions that anybody wants to put into the chat, we'll extend it a couple more minutes. But if not, we have to let Jan go back to her students because I'm sure the phone and your email is getting
It's blowing
loaded.
up. It's blowing up. But Barbara, if you have your, there's Barbara. I was going to say that we are doing another presentation on more related to financial aid, and that is in a couple of weeks, I think.
November 23rd.
Okay, November 23rd, we're doing a webinar here on financial aid. So you're welcome to come back. It'll be a different topic, and it should
So
be
Barbara, can you give us some closing thoughts on what kind of programming is going on in the library and how we can help our audience here?
Well, we're getting a lot of interest in the college programs themselves. We're getting a lot of interest in the SAT, ACT prep classes, and I think people are not really sure if they should take the test or they shouldn't take the test. I think that's going to be a big inquiry coming up in the very near future because those juniors probably aren't sure, is it going to be to their benefit to take it or not? Would they do better off if the school doesn't require it not to submit a grade? Or would they maybe have an advantage if they had a decent SAT or ACT grade? Would that help them over a child that didn't submit one?
That's
So I
great.
think we're going to see that as a definite debate in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
You have tremendous insight. That's great.
I missed my calling. I always wanted to be a college guidance counselor.
You are. You're a gem and a real a great resource for your community. And I'd just like to let you know that everybody that's been on the chat is just saying, Barbara, this has been great and very informative, and they're thanking all of us. And I know Jan's got to get back to her work.
Yes, Jan, I'm going to stop the recording now. I'm going to thank you first to both of you for your time. I know this is a busy season for you, and we appreciate you coming on and helping us. And I know I saw everyone really very thankful. You gave a lot of very interesting information that made, I'm sure, some of the parents stop and think that they might have more opportunities than they even realized. So thank you for all of that. And I'm going to stop recording right now.